Well, welcome on in everyone to They Are Not From Philly podcast. This is our first Phillies baseball edition. I'm your host Adam from Wales with my co-host Justin from Tennessee. And seeing as our first baseball show, I had to get the big guns in, and I had to get Jackie Baseball or Jackie Balls. I'm not sure what it is.
I don't know about that one.
After yesterday.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Co-host of the High Hopes podcast and 94 WIP afternoon show, and appreciate Jack coming on with me and Justin, because we're big baseball fans, so I want to get Jack on, and he's a good friend. So yeah, Jack, how we feeling, brother, about the first game yesterday?
Well, first things first. There's two things that I need to talk about at the beginning here. One, I feel like I've found a home here because many people during Eagles season question if I am from Philly. So it's good to find a home in people who might not be from here. And Westchester might as well be Wales to the people that are from here. And second, listen, I'm excited to talk about the Phils. But, Justin parades himself around like he's Captain Philadelphia. He's wearing a WIP shirt right now, and he's still doing the Red Sox nonsense, Adam.
I know.
It's sickening. He doesn't call WEEI in Boston. He calls WIP. And I know that deep down, I know this for a fact. Well, maybe not a fact. This is me projecting. If it's Phillies Sox in the World Series, I guarantee you he's rooting for the Phillies. So I don't buy it from Justin.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of hogwash. A bunch of hogwash.
Come on, Just, man. You gotta get with us full time, man. You can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You gotta commit, man.
I'm telling you, if it's Phil Sox, man, it's going to be tough, but I'm going Sox. I've been a Red Sox fan since Wade Boggs and Mike Greenwell and all them cats, man. I mean, but WIP is by far head and shoulders above the best sports radio in all the world. Not just the East Coast, but the world. It is the best, hands down.
Yeah. So when the Phillies eventually, hopefully not anytime soon, but eventually move on from Rob Thompson and they hire Tony V from Tennessee, we'll convert him over. So
he's going to be.
I tell you, if Tony Vitello becomes the Phillies coach, I will fully convert and become a straight up Phillies fan, along with you and my buddy Tony Basilio down here. I'll do it. I'll jump in head first, and my son will be heartbroken, but I'll tell him to shit one hand, want another, and see which one fills up first, because I will do it if Tony V goes to the Fields.
So these are the sayings that you can't say on the air. The ones that you can curse with.
Oh yeah, Justin comes out with some beauties on this,
Yeah, I'm sure he does. So listen, overall, I mean, I was just happy to have baseball back. Luckily for me, I was driving home for the first 3 innings and missed about a combined 15 strikeouts by both sides. So that was happy. I was happy to see that. But overall, I thought once the shadows went away, the offense looked mostly fine. They still struck out 6 times after Mackenzie Gore got taken out, but a couple of those were Marsh at bats. Marsh looked completely overmatched, but Wheeler was Wheeler. I thought they fought pretty well. I thought that the thing that really stuck out to me was more their attitude than anything. I thought it was a total attitude adjustment yesterday. There was no post-game water dumps by the daycare.
Yeah.
There was just a normal post-game press conference. Bryce, I thought, was really interesting from the standpoint of he was at the top step, because I think Bryce, for his career, he's always kind of been a lead by example guy, a lot like Chase Utley was. But now as he's getting older, and his legacy is the one that's defined whether they win or lose, and if they win this World Series or not. And I think he's just upped his intensity, but also his leadership. I think he's grabbing this thing by the stones and saying, I'll lead us. And it's a nice mix, because I think the value in a guy like Kyle Schwarber, who I think has been this team's leader, I don't think there's any coincidence why they've started winning the second that Schwarber walked in that clubhouse. But like Schwarber is more, hey, you're a great player. Just go be a great player, and it's a long season. Don't get too high, don't get too low, stay even keel. And I think a clubhouse needs that. But they also need someone that's gonna be on their ass all the time. And I
Yeah,
think that's what I saw from Bryce yesterday. So game wise was mostly encouraging. It's funny because I know they struck out 19 times. Fine. I didn't think they were bad strikeouts. It wasn't a bunch of chasing. It wasn't expanding the zone. It was a guy who was in the zone, and traditionally Mackenzie Gore has been out of the zone. Well, he was in the zone yesterday, and
yeah,
sometimes it's just not your day.
yeah. He was really good yesterday, and the shadows were the shadows that can't be helped. And but when you were talking about you missed the first couple of innings, it was the same for me over here because like the way I can watch the games over here, I got to subscribe to the MLB TV app,
Oh, it was
and
down
it
yesterday.
went down, and I was stressed, and I was on my phone. I was doing it on the TV. I was logging in, logging out, restoring. I was like, what the hell is going on? I was proper stressed. Now when I turned it on, it was when it finally came on. It was like the third inning, so I was like, oh damn, So I managed to get it back, and because I want to watch every at bat. You know what I mean? I don't want to miss a pitch, like so.
My
Yeah, it
man,
was.
my man.
Yeah, yeah, you got to see everything. So what I ask your opinion, Jack and Justin, with the lineups this year, you're gonna have Trey, leading off against lefty, and Schwarber's gonna be leading off against a righty. Do you think Rob Thompson will keep that all year long, or do you think it'll be like depending on how the season is going, how the at bats are looking? Because Trey, I wouldn't say he was bad yesterday with that. It's his first time doing it maybe in a while, and it's only the first game of the season. You know what I mean? So there's no need to
Huh?
panic. How do you sort of gauge that?
So I think that they just don't want to. I think in their perfect world, I think they want Trey to just take it and run with it. But I don't think they
Yeah,
want to just commit so hard to it, to where they do toggle back and forth, and then everyone freaks out saying, "Well, hold on, I thought he was your leadoff hitter." And I think in a perfect world, they want him to take it. I think they want Harper batting too. I think that's almost equally as important as as
yeah,
as as Turner leading off. And it just worked yesterday. I know that Turner, it was over 4, but he did walk.
mm,
He looked a little bit more patient. Hits will come. He's a good player.
yeah,
But having Bohm in the 3 spot rather than the 4 spot, and he can be the back control guy, and he can have Schwarber hitting behind him, so maybe he gets more pitches to hit. And then Schwarber in the cleanup spot, if you look at the numbers, his numbers in cleanup spot in his career are good. He just hasn't had many opportunities to do it. So it just looked right yesterday. Now JT should not be batting 5th. That should be Castellanos. But
mm,
but like I liked it yesterday. I hope they're not going to stick with it. They're going to go back and forth. Saturday they're going back to it. But the thing that's annoying is that, like, obviously you're going to face more righties than lefties throughout a baseball week. So I just don't know how many opportunities he's really going to get. But I think that they want Trey to kind of take it and run with it. I just don't think they want to give it to him, and then it's like, well, hold on, why are you switching it up? And and give it a nice 2 months, 2-3 months, give it some runway, and see how it shakes out before if they have to go back to Schwarber. I would let it just kind of run the course for a little bit. You're not going to lose games because of the lineup, I don't think. So just see how it goes.
yeah,
So yesterday, Bohm had the big hit, in the
in
extra
the
innings and
10th.
everything. Yeah. Do you think that, I guess the way I'm trying to phrase it is, with Schwarber behind him, that helped him? Like see better pitches. I think it will. When you put him between Harper and Schwarber, that's just going to help him, and it should help his, I guess, overall mentality. And like you've said on High Hopes and on the radio, he was dealing with that injury last year.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I've not got to ask you this: do you think the home run derby may have hampered his swing a little bit? Because we've seen that in the past. These guys that go into the home run derby, they change their
Yeah.
swing trying to win it. We've seen that with Abreu that year that he was in it. Like after the home run derby, he went down the tank. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it was more injury than anything. Like his swing has kind of always been his swing. But I think the injury, it definitely, well, it's not like he was a power hitter, but I
No.
think it definitely zapped maybe his aggressiveness on going for pitches. And, yesterday looked a lot like the guy that we saw the first 2 months of the season, or the first 2 months of last season. And part of being in the three spot, which I like with him, is like we know what the cleanup spot is. Cleanup spot's
Yeah.
got to be a run, and Bohm's a good RBI guy, but obviously you want more power. In the three spot, if let's say Trey's on first base, let's say, Harp, like these guys are in position, like having a back control guy that can hit the ball to the right side, get those guys kind of moving around. It just makes more sense. So yeah, I think he's going to get more pitches to hit with Schwarber behind him. But again, I'm trying not to get too ahead of myself because I know on Saturday they're going back to Schwarber at the leadoff. So
Yeah.
again, it's a little annoying. I think their best lineup is with Trey at the top. I'm trying to get ahead of myself, but I do think Bohm, the frustrating part about Bohm is I think he obviously has a little bit of he's an emotional guy.
Yeah.
And maybe this offseason hardened him up. And I thought it was interesting. Don't cut that audio, but
Pause.
it was interesting hearing Bryce yesterday after the game. He's like, I talked to the young guys, and I told them, put the pressure on us. Just go be you. Just go be you. Put the pressure on me. Put the pressure on Schwarber. Put the pressure on JT. Put the pressure on Turner. And you guys go play. And that's smart because those guys can handle it. They've been around for a while, and it hopefully lets the Stotts, the Marsh, the Bohm just go play without thinking they got to be heroes. So I thought that was a really interesting point from Bryce, and hopefully that's something that Bohm takes to heart.
Yeah,
Go on,
I
Jess.
heard that this morning too, and my thought was like, isn't Bohm 28, 29 years old? So at what point
I
is
know.
he a young guy too?
I know.
But I
I
do
know.
I do like what you said earlier about Harper taking more of a leadership role. Like it, they need somebody who can put a foot in their ass when they need it and pat them on the back when they need it too. And I think Harper's got a good enough head on his shoulders. He knows when to do that. I really
Yeah.
do because he's been in the majors since he was what 20 years old.
hmm This is
So I mean
year 15 for Bryce, which feels ridiculous.
yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, with him, like you said, just reaching up and grabbing the leadership role by the throat, I think that's going to show the team some things. You know what I'm saying? It's going to there's different ways to lead, and like you said, Schwarber has a different way of leading than
Uh-huh.
maybe Bryce does, and that might kick him in the ass a little bit.
Yeah,
Well,
it's mad. Go on, Jack.
I understand. Look at Jalen last year.
Yep.
Jalen had
Yeah,
all the leadership questions after 2023, and I don't think Bryce's leadership's been questioned. I think it's more
No.
just he has to be more hands on with it rather than hands off. So it's a little bit different. But I think you saw Jalen adjust this year. Jalen, I thought was more around his teammates. Looks like he was, God forbid, having fun.
yeah, I know.
It's not everyone's just like a born leader. Not everyone's just it, and everyone's growing at all times. I mean, you guys have grown, I'm sure, in the last 2 years, and I think even athletes, I think that Bryce kind of taking the bull by the horns here and saying, I'm like, I'll do it. Like I have enough stature. I'm the base of the franchise. This could be this core's last run at this thing. If they don't want to
Yep.
pay Trey and they don't want to pay JT, they don't want to pay Schwarber, and they want to have these young kids come up, this could be it. And you think about 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, where they came up short in 76 and winning over 100 games in 77, and then finally breaking through. And hopefully that's this team's moment. But, Bryce feeling that sense of urgency and even hitting that home run yesterday and kind of easing things a little bit.
Yeah,
That's what leaders do. So I thought it
Well,
was yeah.
like you said, like I think his legacy depends on it more than anybody's right
Oh yeah.
now. Like I mean, you said it, I think it was Wednesday on the radio. You were talking about it. Or it was the pod one that all kind of runs together for me. But Schwarber's won a World Series. Trey won a World
Trey.
Series.
Yeah,
I mean, but Harper is more of a name and face of baseball than those guys, and his legacy is going to be greater than theirs in the
Well,
long run.
yeah, and even a guy like Wheeler who hasn't won. Everyone,
Yeah,
when Wheeler's career's done, if they don't win a World Series, they're gonna say, "Wow, what a big game pitcher! Like
yeah,
unbelievable,"
Yeah.
But in Bryce's case, unfortunately, it's not to any fault of his own. And again, he is
no,
the third highest postseason OPS in the history of baseball, as a member of the Phillies, behind Ruth and Gehrig. So it's not him, but unfortunately, people are gonna be like, "Yeah, but he didn't get the job done." Where it's it's not Donovan, right? Because Donovan has own issues,
yeah,
but people will be like, Donovan didn't get it done. Meanwhile, Dawkins is revered. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's not like Dawkins didn't win either.
Mm.
And Harper will be revered, but there will be something missing on his resume. And really, it would just be a travesty if he doesn't win a title. It would
yeah,
be like it
Yeah.
would just be a for a guy who has done so much for the game, that's been on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 16. It's like the perfect cherry on top to what has been a pretty special career.
Well,
Yeah. Like,
it's so different in baseball too, because you can only do, like, when you're hitting, you might get one good pitch to hit in the at bat. One good
Yep,
pitch, and they might pitch around you. So it's so much harder to do in baseball rather than if you're the quarterback of a football team.
sure.
So, because if you're the quarterback, the ball's in your hands every play. You
Hmm.
have the ability to change the play and stuff. It's so much harder in baseball to have an impact when all you're able to do is take what they give you.
Hmm.
yeah, we saw the at bat, the home run Wheeler gave up yesterday. It was a long at bat. What was it like? I think it was
12
like
pitches.
10 pitches, was it something like that? In the end, and you just knew something was. He was either going to get a hit or it was going to be a home run. And I felt bad for Zach then, but it doesn't phase him. He carried on. He had a great game, and so, like, Jack, how do you feel about the bullpen yesterday? Because, like, Orion Kirkland came in and he looked okay. He got him out of a jam. You know what I mean? It was a tough pitching sequence he had to go through. But then, like, Jordan Romano, he struggled when he came in. Alvarado looked really good. I'm so
Hmm.
glad, like, Alvarado, he's like my favorite pitcher on the Phillies. So, like,
Oh, it's the best.
last
Yeah.
year when I seen him, like, I went to London last year for the London series against the Mets, and I went to the game where Alvarado came in to close it, and he just, like, collapsed to the plate, and
I
then
know.
since then his struggles, like, continue then, and he sort of, like, in the rest of his season was tough. So I'm glad, like, his spring training went well, and he's hopefully he can carry it over now from this first game.
Hmm.
So how are you sort of feeling about the bullpen arms?
What's so funny about the London series is, so I think at that point, I think at that game, the Phillies are so far ahead in the standings that Rob Thompson was starting right around that point to see how guys would handle pressure situations. So
Mm.
in an obvious situation that Alvarado should have been in the game, he went to
Uh,
Soto, and Soto blew it, and that let the freaking Mets in the playoffs. Had they just won the game, the Mets don't make the playoffs at the end of the year, and we're not
mm.
even dealing with the Mets nonsense.
I know.
So thank you for reopening that
It
wound.
was it
No.
was it was tough. It was tough being there because, like, when I went into the stadium, we I went to London. We went to, like, a tailgate in London. I don't know if you know, Jack. You probably know because the morning show went to London for the series, and we got, like, these Passy Avenue sports bars,
Oh yeah, yep,
and
yep, yep.
we went to, like, this tailgate, and it was like loads of Phillies fans, people from Philadelphia. It was amazing. So we got tickets last minute to go to the game, and
Nice.
we went, and my wife bought the tickets, and we were there, and it's just like the second day, and we were just surrounded by Mets fans. And I was like,
Nice.
oh no, I was like, I can't be around all these Mets fans. So we had, like, I think it was around, like, the fifth or sixth, and then we got up and we literally just walked around the other side of the stadium, and we were, like, surrounded by Phillies fans then, and it was great. And then
Perfect.
Jeff Hoffman come out and the eighth inning, and I thought in that game it should have been the other way around. You know what I mean? Like, Alvarado should have come out in the eighth, Hoffman should have closed it, and it might have gone a bit better. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was tough being in that game because, like, all the Mets fans, they were just screaming F Utley and what have you, like, because they were hating him, and so just come out
Nice.
and it was just, the train station was all full of Mets fans. They were just shouting F, at Lee and all this. And it was just like, it was like the game I went to watch them lose. I saw David Dahl hit the home run, which was cool.
What a moment.
For me, I've never seen a home run live in my life. You know what I mean? So that was pretty cool.
He was. Yeah. I think that was their first pinch hit RBI.
Yeah.
Of the season, and that was like in May or June.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Kerkering I thought looked unbelievable. It was the most unlucky inning I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like it was almost as if the Nationals were placing the balls when they were throwing when they were hitting them. It's like they threw it, and there was like they're hitting like golf shots, little flops into the outfield, and just putting them in the right spot. So him getting out of that, I thought showed some massive stones. So Romano, I thought he hurt himself, but he ended up being fine because he threw the first pitch as a slider. It bit super hard, and then he was back to like 93. The slider wasn't doing much, and I was like, oh come on, man, is he hurt already? But and he walked the first batter on 4 pitches. Now the first pitch was a strike. It was ridiculous.
It was missed.
And then he hit the next guy. Didn't like to see that. My thing with Romano is that I thought as the inning went on and he got his feet under him, his fastball got back up to 97, and he threw some really good sliders. He is going to be a heart attack. There's no doubt about it. But I still think there's a good pitcher in there. I thought yesterday that was his first time on a big league mound in a long time. And
it might just be first, opening day, nerves or pressure.
Exactly.
Like you said, it's been a while, and he looked good in spring training. He looked really good.
Yeah. So and then Alvarado ridiculous, and Strahm was fine. The Phillies bullpen, if they can use those 4, I feel really good about. It's really just when one of those or 2 of those guys are down, who are we going to?
Do you think they'll bring someone in later on at the trade deadline, maybe, or do you think they'll get a bat?
No, I think they could find a cheap ready bat if they wanted to. Like Adam Duvall's been a guy who I've wanted for like 1,000 years now. He's like he's very cooked, I think. But if they need someone competent, so and a right-handed bench bat won't cost you much trade wise. I think they're very keen on not giving up. Aiden, Miller, Crawford. I would put Arun Escobar in there. I would put Taid in there.
Yeah.
So I think they want to. So, but I would put Griffin Burkholder in there, and a couple others, but whatever. So, but yeah, I just think that deadline, you're probably going to be able to get a competent reliever for not your super good prospects. So it feels like a deadline where they say Painter is their big acquisition, and they get another reliever in there because I think they're one short. Tanner Banks does nothing for me. Jose Ruiz, I think, is pretty good, but we'll see. He had the anomaly last year. I'm a Cesar Hernandez guy. I wanted him last year at the deadline, so I'm excited to see what he can do because he throws like 100, and all the stuff plus models love his pitches. So and he's a perfect guy to give the confidence and see if he can figure it out. So they do feel an arm short, but I think Cesar Hernandez can pop. The nice part is that like if they have to go on to Lehigh Valley's bullpen is really interesting with the amount of just quality arms I think they have. So I have no idea, but when those 4 are out there, I feel pretty good, and I'm not really freaking out about Jordan Romano.
So my question is about Jesus Luzardo. He's the number 2 guy on the rotation.
No, but I mean, like he is. He is,
but he isn't. That's what I was going to say. What do you think Nola feels about like kind of being bumped to 3rd per se?
Well, so I think they wanted to give Sanchez the home opener. I think that's why they moved the rotation around the way they did. And Luzardo on the road in a park that so not having to face home crowd yet, I think is maybe a part of it. I don't know. Nola, the fact that he was fine with them pitching Sanchez in Game 2 of the Met series last year shows that I think he's just okay. Hey, as long as I'm getting the ball, I'm good. He doesn't scream big ego guy to me.
Yeah.
And I think the nice part about Nolan now is that a lot of the pressure is just off him. He doesn't have to go be the 2. If he is, great, and it makes the Phillies that much better. But I think he's entering into a nice part of his life and his career where like he just had his first kid. He got the big contract, and now he can just go be Knowles. Just go be Knowles.
Yeah,
And
he can be the number 3 or 4 guy easy. I mean,
yeah.
this rotation is huge.
No, it's awesome. No, it's awesome. Luzardo, I'm trying not to, because I'm a spring training head. I love
Yeah.
spring training, and
Yeah,
I
I'm
react
the same.
I react to every single game like it's a real game. And
Yeah,
I'm trying not to get too worried about his last couple of or his last start.
yeah,
And
no,
then
he
but
struggled. Yeah,
yeah, but the stuff pops. So, I think he's going to be a guy that with Cotham, it's going to be hit and miss, I think, for the first month and a half, 2 months. And then I think as Cotham continues to work with him, I think he's going to really start figuring it out as long as he can stay healthy. Because the stuff is 100% there. And if he hits with what Sanchez, I think what he's about to do, with Nola, I think who's going to have a great year on top of Wheeler, and if we'll see Ranger eventually, I'm sure. Man, the rotation's special.
what
So
do
do
you
you
think
think
is?
Ranger will? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Adam.
Oh, sorry, only quick. What do you think? Like Taiwan Walker's, going to get that fifth start, and I can't wait for that because it's
Can't wait.
I hate being
Yeah.
one of the like we're all thinking like, oh, it's a guaranteed loss and all that. I hope it's not, obviously, but like Ranger is hopefully only out for like 10, 13 days, and but he's obviously probably not going to be back that soon. And if, say, Taiwan Walker ends up having more starts and he does become the regular fifth man, but he's those losses keep racking up like they did last year. Do you think they bring Andrew Painter up before like July, August, or do
Well, the
you
thing
think
that they
that's set
gotta,
in stone?
I think it sort of depends how they're playing.
Yeah,
If they're playing okay and they're 5 games above 500, they're not sinking. I think that they'll wait and just put Taiwan out there. Maybe they'll bring someone up from AAA. Because I think that their feeling on Painter is they want to make sure that he has enough bullets for the end of the season. So sure, you could rush him up there in June if you want, but what's that going to mean for the September Phillies and maybe even the October Phillies? I don't think they want to put him in the bullpen. I think they want to develop him as a starter.
yeah.
So I think but if they're 5 games under 500 and floundering and Taiwan's a disaster, yeah, I think that's when maybe you see Painter up here a little earlier. I'm choosing to believe that Taiwan can give me 6 innings of 4-run baseball. That's all I'm asking for. That's all I'm asking for.
I know.
I just pitch between a 4 and a 4.5 ERA and give us 6 innings. It's the damn near bare minimum.
Don't give up like 8 home runs like he did a couple of weeks back, and I think it was like one of his last games in spring training when he was like booed off the mound and he gave up like a ton of home runs, and it was just like it was tough to watch.
I know. But come on, Taiwan, your fastball's up 5 ticks. Fastball's up.
So my question is like, when they do bring Painter up, not if but when. We all know that Wheeler doesn't like the 6-man rotation thing. Would they put Ranger in the bullpen then, you think?
No, I think well, maybe, but I don't think Ranger wants to go to the bullpen because he's in a contract year, so he wants to get as many innings as he can. So I think they'll probably go 6-man, but they'll keep Wheeler on a 5-man schedule. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So like they'll manage Painter from that, because you don't need to come up and pitch Painter on a regular schedule because he's probably only going to throw 80 some innings.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to go 6-man, and this obviously is everyone's healthy. You know what I mean? Like if that's a perfect or the best case scenario. So yeah, I think they'll go 6-man, but then they'll have Wheeler just on that regular 5-day rest thing so that he doesn't get worked up about it. Because everyone else I think is mostly fine with it. Nola I think on 6 days rest is better, and I'm sure Sanchez would like it. I mean, Wheeler's just an animal, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I'm sure they want to manage Painter's innings as best as possible. But I can't wait for Andrew Painter because I try not to. It's funny. Like I think people think I am like at everyone on the Phillies. I just like talk up and think about it all times. I do think about them at all times, but like I'm actually try to temper everyone's excitement because I don't want them to get crushed when it may not live up to the hype.
Yeah.
And with Painter, it's like I read all these, prospect notes, these guys that I've been following for a long time, and some of the Baseball America guys, they're like, he's the best pitching prospect, one of the three best I've ever seen, like Jose Fernandez, him, and someone else, and they're like, he's schemes before schemes, and this really this big analytical guy that helps us drive line. I read his stuff, and he's just like he has him as the number one pitching prospect in all of baseball. So I'm trying to not temper my expectations, because we might have a special arm on our hand.
Yeah.
So my next question. I've heard y'all talk about Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Mhm.
Possibly like him wanting to be traded because he's told the Jays he doesn't want to re-sign there, possibly, and all this stuff.
Uh-huh.
What would it take to get a Vlad if he became available? Because, like you said, I don't think they're going to trade Miller, Crawford, or Patton. Those are the untouchables,
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think Crawford of those is probably the most that would be possibly could be moved.
for a Vlad,
Probably, yeah. I mean, it's tough because it's only a year. It'd be half a year.
yeah,
And Bryce has said that he moved to the outfield, but he did not say long term. He said I moved to the outfield for half a season or a year, which would not be the case with where it would be the case with Vlad, but then that might take them out of re-signing him. Now
yeah,
they could let Schwarber walk, and then Vlad becomes your DH, and you don't have to worry about it. And maybe they can work out something where Vlad plays first base a couple days, DH a couple days, Bryce goes to the outfield. No idea. But I think Vlad, yeah, Vlad's probably costing you. You hope that you're not putting Painter or Miller on the table, but it costs you like Crawford, Chassé, Saltaban, and some other interesting prospect. It's still going to cost you. I think it still costs you three top 10 guys to get it done. He's Vlad Guerrero Jr. He's freaking awesome.
yeah,
So. And you probably want to resign if you're giving up that kind of dough for
yeah.
him.
So
So
it's what, 400 or 500 to re-sign him too, probably, right?
yeah, again, I'd be shocked. Like, listen, baseball money these days is ridiculous.
Insane.
I would be surprised. I would be surprised if he got 500 plus, because he is a DH, I think, long term. And he's just, first base is first base. I'd be surprised if he got 500. Again, I think he's awesome, but it's not like he's hitting 40 a year, hitting 300. I mean, it's 30-ish some, and like I would love him in the lineup. They need a right-handed bat. So yeah, I think it starts with a 4. I would be surprised if it got to a 5. Like, I would probably pay Tucker. I'd probably pay Tucker more than Vlad, just because of the outfield.
What's the age between the two? I don't know how old they both are.
Vladdy, I think, is 2 years younger. He's 2 years younger. I think so.
I like Tucker. I know you've been on Kyle Tucker for years. I like Tucker too, man.
I'm a Tucker's man. Yeah, yeah.
Either one, I think, would be a great addition. Like, you know what I mean. And it'd be interesting to see what Bryce looks like. Out in like left field or somewhere again. So it'd be that would be interesting. Do you think, Jack? Like, there's always talk about Trey as a shortstop. You know what I mean? Like, some of the throws, he was a bit late getting them to first base yesterday and stuff. Do you think, like, if they made a move like that and Bryce went up at the outfield, do you think Trey would go out to the outfield if, like, they wanted to bring Aiden Miller up to be like a shortstop or something, like when he's ready to come up?
Yeah. I think he wants to be the shortstop. I think that they've made it clear that he has to perform there defensively. So I think this is kind of his last shot to prove he can do it. And if it's a year like last year, and even like that throw yesterday, and what, the 9th or 10th that Bryce had to dig out was a little concerning. So yeah, I think this is probably his last year if he can't, like, take a big step forward. And then you start thinking about center, you start thinking about left, and especially with Aiden coming, who I thought was more of a third baseman when they drafted him. Still think he could end up there. But, and watching him in spring, and watching him in, that spring breakout game down in Clearwater, looks pretty slick out there.
He's got a hell of an arm on him. The power in his arm for some of the throws he made in that game were just fantastic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the thing. Like, like, obviously, like we talked about, the guys are getting older now, and then obviously when, like, Aiden Miller's ready to come up and stuff, do you think they will still, like at the moment, you look at the Phillies and it's like, yeah, they're a World Series contender, and they, you know what I mean, as long as they put everything together, they can do it. Do you think
Mm-hmm.
they'll still be like that, even when, like, you know, like say Schwarber is gone, Realmuto's gone, and then, like, you know, Aiden Miller comes up, and like say Marchand takes over full time as the catcher? Do you think they
Sure.
still can be a contender like that with the young guys coming up, or would
Well,
they need to wait a little bit?
Uh, I think two things will happen there. I think they will sign one of the big free agents, whether it's Tucker or Vlad,
Mm.
and that'll help the loss of JT and Schwarber if it comes to that. But I think that's been the main reason why they haven't traded these guys, is that they want to keep the window open as long as possible. So there's gonna be growing pains. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a 0%. I would put like a 5% chance that those guys come up and are super big impact players from day one. That's just a Painter. I think can be.
Mm.
Aiden he's been a slow starter everywhere he's gone. So at the big league level, I assume that is going to continue. And
Yeah.
then Crawford, I gotta just see it, because that's the swing I still don't totally buy. But yeah, I think I think there's a reason why they didn't trade those guys, because I think they want to keep this window open as long as possible. So, you know, it's going to be some growing pains, but that's why they're trying to almost balance, or have a balance here, of keeping some of the big veterans around and bringing those guys up, so that when those veterans go, and whether that's 2 years from now, 3 years from now, the successors have some games under their belt. Now, Stott and Bohm could halt all those plans and just go be great, which I think would be awesome too.
Yeah.
But we'll see on that.
Yeah, Bohm looked, he looked really good yesterday down the stretch, and even like early in the game when he got struck out and what have you, when he was going off to play, he didn't, he, like Rob Thompson said the other day, that he seems a lot more mature now this off season. They've sort of like worked it out, and he didn't look like frustrated when he was coming off, and he's, and Bryce was like sort of, you can see that he has taken that more of a leadership role, and they were coming back to the dugout, and he was like, patting everyone up and keeping everyone motivated. And even when guys were getting hits and stuff, Bryce was like, you could see him out there, getting everyone up, and it was just really, really cool to see. They do seem, even, I know it's like one game, but they do seem different this year. Like it's just like, yeah, forget all the nonsense and the the celebrations at the plate, and it's just like they want to go and just do what they want to do, and let's see what happens. You know what I mean? I just want, my thing is this year, I just want to like try to enjoy every game, not have expectations too high, because obviously the last few years have been tough watching them go out to different stages. I mean, from the World Series to the NLCS, and then first round exit last year. You know what I mean? So like this year now, it's just, I think it'd be good for everyone to just sort of be like, yeah, we want to get into the World Series, but let's try and like just enjoy it as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and also enough of the joking around.
Yeah.
Let's not do that. Like, there's a reason why Garrett Stubbs isn't here anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what
Yeah, I know.
That's what
So
I was about to say.
yeah, and I love Stubbs, and I think I think that I think the clubhouse the last couple of years has been a great place to go, and I think Stubbs is a huge part of that. I think he's a huge culture guy for them. And I think he was really important in helping turn around the culture in the clubhouse. Because the culture in the clubhouse before Schwarber and Stubbs got there was not great. So having those guys come in and dude, it's just, I feel so bad for Stubbsy though, because like the Iron Pigs keep tweeting out like, look who's here,
Yeah,
and it's just,
they make a big deal of him at the minute.
like, come on, man. We're like, I don't know. So
Yeah, it's kind of awkward because the guy he was there for the World Series run, the run
I
against
know
the Diamondbacks and everything, and you feel bad for the kid, man. You really do, but they're
it's
just
what
trying
it
to
is.
get people to the park, I guess.
Do you think
My
he
next,
will come back up at any point during the season?
Oh, well, listen, if you don't think he's going to be in that clubhouse in September and October,
Yeah, that's
vibing
what
it
I
you're
up.
on.
Yeah.
Oh, you're on something, man.
Yeah.
He'll be back.
Yeah.
And Marshawn's got to stay healthy, man. I love Marshawn. I think he could be an everyday guy, but he has to stay healthy. He's never done that.
Yeah.
My next thing is something y'all hit on the other day, Tuesday or Wednesday on the radio show, talking about Dombrowski. Everywhere he's been, like he's always made a huge trade. at the deadline, and it's almost
Uh-huh.
like been prospects be damned. Do you think like he's not done that since he's really been to Philadelphia? Do you think that's more of a mindset change on his part, or kind of a mandate down from ownership? We don't want to get rid of our younger players because, like you said, we want to keep the window open as long as possible with young homegrown guys. What do you
Well,
think?
if you remember when he took over the Red Sox or took over the Red Sox job, his mandate was win the World Series. We don't care.
Yeah.
You know, we trade Yohan Moncada
Yep.
and frickin' Kopech for Chris Sale. Now the one guy
And it worked.
it did. Now one guy he kept off limits the entire time was Robbie Devers. So I just want you to keep that in mind, Justin,
Yep.
when he
He
is
did.
here in a year.
And when he
After
left, we traded Mookie Betts.
yes, great idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's ownership. I think it's Middleton. I think Middleton. I think it's twofold because I think he is competitive. I mean, they do have the third highest payroll in baseball. I think he wants
Yeah.
to win the World Series, 100%.
Yeah.
But I think on top also at the forefront of his mind is he saw an empty ballpark from 2013 to before Bryce, you
Yeah.
know, and no one cared about the Phillies. Like, you know, there's some sickos that cared about the Phillies, but really until the 2022 World Series run. So I think he would trade the prospects within reason, but if we have top end prospects, don't give them away for nothing.
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, I think they made a Godfather offer to the White Sox last year for Garrett Crochet and Luis Robert, and I think there was a little bit of we're ahead of our skis here. Do we really actually want to do this? And the White Sox said no. So, like, I think that they've shown it, and like getting a guy like Garrett Crochet, who I love with all my heart,
Tennessee
would have
guy.
Tennessee guy now Red Sox.
Balls.
If that guy and a possible 30-30 guy in center field is available, okay,
Yeah.
but I don't think they want to just there also really hasn't been that guy. You know, there hasn't been that obvious go get him kind of. Even Kyle Tucker, who I love, Kyle Tucker. It was a year, you know, and he's going to hit free agency. He's not. He's gonna. He could resign with the Cubs, but it's going to be in free agency. And the Cubs gave up, you know, Isak Paredes and Cam Smith, who Cam Smith might be the, you know, one of the 10 best prospects, 5 best prospects in baseball, and he's already on the opening day roster. So I think they're picking and choosing their spots. I think also now they've developed. I think there's waves of talent now coming through the minor league system to where they can assume some of the depth that if they do trade someone. You know, they drafted like 4 center fielders last year, so if they wanted to trade one of them, I think they could survive. So, you know, I think that they're developing still from that standpoint in the minor league system. And within the next couple of years, I think you'll see them start making more of those trades. I think while they were building up, they did not want to trade those players.
I like something else you said the other day too, talking about him. Like the farm system and everything down below is more stable now than it was before he came on. And you can really see that because you went from taking your guy Mick.
Well,
Yeah,
hold on. The 2016 draft was horrible.
It
Okay,
was.
like it's not
It
like
was.
they took Moniak and Nick Senzel, your boy, ended up being a stud.
I,
AJ Puck's
I,
been on 3 teams.
I'm just saying the farm system is much more stable now than it used to be, and you can see that.
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing that Dombrowski's done is he's turned them into a big boy organization, and they
Yeah.
were not that before. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's why people on the field, trade deadlines, you know, some of the free agent misses, sure. I think that's totally fair to put on his resume. But I think from the standpoint of turning the Phillies into a 21st century, you know, franchise has been a big thing that Dombrowski has brought.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. You know, it's such a long season, and it's going to be interesting to see. You know, I don't want to be like, oh, let's get to October, but it'd be interesting to see how the season ends, and then sort of what Dombrowski is and Middleton. You know, are they how heavily criticised they might get? You know, Rob Thompson, people are talking about he might be on the hot seat a bit this season. Do you think Rob could be in trouble down the stretch, or do you think, no matter what happens this year, do you think they will stick with Rob Thompson?
I mean, if it really falls off the rails, I think anything's on the table. I think that I don't think they want to fire Rob Thompson. I think that core re-signing maybe throw a wrench in everything, because I think core is Dombrowski's guy. But I think that, I think if there's anyone that goes first, I think it would be Kevin Long, because, it's been 3 straight years, and it's not like yesterday was the best starting point, I guess, for him. But I think if there's anyone that would go first, I think it'd be Kevin Long. But sure, if it falls completely off the rails, yeah, maybe. But I also don't think there's like a Rob Thompson sitting on the bench like there was a couple years ago when Joe Girardi got fired. Like Rob Thompson was right there.
Yeah.
I don't know if that guy is next to, like, on the bench right now.
Yeah.
I think that it would have to be maybe after the year more than in the year.
So, like, sorry, just quick.
No.
Yesterday, like the shadows played a big part in the at-bats in the beginning of the game. Is that a real, like, I didn't realize yesterday how much of an effect that has. Like when Alec Bourne was speaking afterwards, he said, you can't see the spins and you can't see which direction the ball is going. You can only see like this sort of like black sort of like emblem sort of shape. Is that a real factor?
Well, yeah, because at the same time, if it's just black, if the ball is just like black, then you can't see the seams. And sometimes these guys are they can see it spinning, and if it's just black. So, and I think the other thing that was happening too, and this happens in day games at Nationals Park specifically, is that there's also a nasty glare in center field. So the glare combined with the shadows, I think really did affect yesterday. Basically, like, the ball just disappears, and even if there is sunlight there too, then it goes from dark to light, all within all within milliseconds in your brain when you're supposed to be able to swing.
That is,
and it, ball's coming 96 miles an hour, or it's moving with the, like, so yeah, I'll chalk yesterday up to the shadows playing a real factor. I know people don't want to hear it, but sometimes excuses are explanations.
No, they all look more comfortable at the plate yesterday compared to how they finished last year. You know what I mean? They didn't look rattled at all, even with the shadows playing thing. They all look pretty comfortable. Like I'm like you. I really like Max Kepler. I think he's
I'm kept up.
He's so like calm at the plate. He doesn't, you know what I mean? He takes pictures. He seems to see it really well. He's not trying to like just get the home run. He's happy with what what becomes available to him. You know what I mean? He's like Bryson Stott in that way when he is in full swing. So I think Kepler's gonna have a good season. I hope so. Anyway, I hope he carries it on.
Yeah, I'm a Kepler guy. I think he works quality at bat. I like how cocky he gets after a walk. I'm in on that. And I think that, listen, he's always been a really good player. He's always been a good player that has almost been. I don't think he's reached his full potential in Minnesota. And it was like Trevor Plouffe was talking the other day, and he said that he thought maybe Kepler got too comfortable in Minnesota. And coming to a new place, having to learn and having to be around a new clubhouse, you could get the best version out of Max Kepler. So I've already called him the Phillies Zach Bond, and I'm not moving. I'm not moving off that take.
Hey, let's hope so. I'll take that.
I would dare to say that Philadelphia fans are a little more passionate about their baseball than Twins fans do, probably. I've never been to Minnesota. I have been to Philadelphia, though. So, I mean, that could put a jolt into him as well. But the question I had a second ago, you were talking about Rob Thompson. And if something does go sideways and they don't, they maybe fall off during the playoffs or something doesn't go wrong and they decide to make a change. Do you think they would bring in more of and I heard this in the past, like a few years ago, a Jim Leland type manager, like just a straight hard ass, guy or something like that? Or would it be more of a same monotone type guy like a Rob Thompson?
Yeah, my thing is, like, I just don't know how many of those guys are in the game anymore.
Exactly.
I think they would go for a player that's kind of fresh out, that not retired within the last like 5 years that played the game at
Yeah.
a high level that I think would connect with them, like a Stephen Boat type, Or again, I think they're just gonna hire Tony V. So it's either those
No,
two things. They're gonna hire.
no.
He moved to Knoxville for a reason. He moved down there for a
He
reason. I just want
actually lives in Nashville, from what I've been told. I've been told Bryce does not live in Knoxville; it's Nashville. But
Okay.
hey,
Okay. We'll see. We'll see. No, I think, but yeah, I just don't know. Like, sure, if 97-year-old Jim Leland wants to come
no,
manage the Phillies, sure.
I said a
No,
Jim Leland tie.
yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But
Didn't he work for Dombrowski in Florida and Detroit?
oh yeah, he loves Leland. He's all,
That's what I thought. He was in Florida and Detroit with him, but I couldn't
yeah,
remember.
yeah. So listen. I think it. I would like that, but I also think that maybe that's why Bryce is kind of doing what he's doing this year. Is he's almost being the hard ass,
Gotcha.
and but I think if they were to move on, it's someone that retired within the last couple of years that played the game at a high level or played it at a big league level.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, Jack, I know you're probably pressed for time. Sorry, go on, Just go on.
I've got two things before we let him go, real quick. Jack, like you and me, Adam, is a country music fan. Huge
Yeah,
country guy. Me and
yeah,
Jack go
big
back and
country
forth
guys.
all the time with who we like and like
Not
songs
hip hop though, not hip hop.
not hip
Real
hop.
country.
Yeah, not hip hop, not Jelly Roll and stuff like that. I mean, Jelly
No,
Roll does have a couple of good songs. Shabuzi will get you moving a little bit, but we're
Yeah.
talking about like Zach Bryan,
Midland.
Sturgill Simpson, Midland, guys like that. So Jack, give Adam right now probably your top 3 songs or artists, whatever you want right now. And then I got one more thing.
Well, I mean, I did decide the other day that it's Zach Bryan season. I think opening day, it's getting a little warmer out, so
Yes, sir.
it's back to being Zach Bryan season. I mean, I'm always, I actually expanded my I started listening to. I'm not a big new music guy, but I started listening to a little bit of new music. So I mean, it's always Bryan, it's always Childers. I mean, it's always Tyler Childers, and I like Camp, Flatland Cavalry,
Yeah.
Watch House. I love Watch House. So a lot of like nice little folky bands that aren't super well. I mean, Zach Bryan's huge, and those guys are big from that. And I'm getting into Sturgill a little bit. I'm trying to. I was actually just straight up listening to some Waylon Jennings the other day.
Oh man,
That was interesting. So
yeah.
I'm trying. I've never been a huge old country guy, but I am attempting to understand as I move forward. I'm also thinking about getting into Steven Wilson Jr. He seems pretty good.
I don't know him.
You don't know him? He seems like he might be next. He might be next.
Okay. I have to dig into that.
Yeah, no, it's good. I go down with Walker at like 7. Today 6:30, 7:30 in the morning, and just put on some soft folk and make breakfast for everyone. So it's a nice little morning routine.
Good deal. Okay, and the final thing, our boy from the morning show, Mr. Joseph DeCamera, has been talking all kinds of trash. I don't know where he gets this bravado from, the haughty hammer and all this. I love Joe to death. I've got to meet him. Super nice guy, great. But I have no idea where this 47, 48-year-old guy thinks he is going to outdo our boy Jack, who is 16 years his junior, a Bloomsburg college athlete.
Stud,
What in the blue
25 pounds
hell?
down.
This,
down
down 25. They're saying down 25. Come on, Jack. I mean, let us have it. How bad are you going to beat this guy?
Well, it was a fun little radio bit until he said I was soft and had no heart. So I have no choice but to destroy him. So
Yes.
I was gonna take it easy on him, but I'm kind of thinking like Kobe at the Olympics in 2008, where he ran through Pau Gasol's chest in the first play.
Go through.
So
Yeah.
now the problem is like he's gonna hurt himself working out before. So we'll see if this thing even happens.
Yeah, I don't think Joe's
honest.
going to make it past the first stage of this competition, so I won't get too worried, Jack. I think
he's going to hurt himself. Yeah, yes. I'm not super stressed about it. I'll put it that way. But I'm going to start playing one-on-one again, and I'm going to start playing tennis, and I'll make sure I'm as good as I can, or as good as I can be, to make sure that I will destroy and end this little charade.
Yeah.
Good deal. Good
Yeah.
man. Good man.
Gonna be funny. Can't wait for
I'm
that.
done, Adam. You can close us out, brother.
No, that's gonna be fun. Joe is great. He's a great character, so it's gonna be
Oh yeah.
really cool to see how that all plays out. Like, but we're rooting for you, Jack. Me and Just,
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
we're afternoon guys, Foxhole guys. So yeah, we're with you. But yeah, no,
Good.
Jack. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate making time for us. Me and Just, we big fans. Obviously, you know that. We listen and call and stuff. So we love what you, Spike, and Ike are doing. So
Well, and you always hold me accountable when I don't podcast the show, so I always appreciate that.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm on Jack all the time. Like, Jack, where is it today? Where's it? Yeah.
Dude, thank God they hired someone else to do it, because
Oh,
it adds an extra like half hour of me staying here. So
man.
so they hired someone else to do it. So thank God I don't have to
I'm
worry
glad
about
you guys
that
are on
anymore.
YouTube now as well, because like when I'm working from home, I can just like chuck you all on YouTube, and I'm watching YouTube as well. So that's cool that you guys are doing that as well. So
it's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it was good yesterday. It was a good first day.
It was.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah. No,
all right, guys.
Thanks, Jack, and thank you everyone who tunes in and gives us a like and a subscribe, and I really appreciate it. We're just two big fans of Philly sports, and that's why we love doing this, because we love being able to meet up and talk about it. So we can't wait for the Phillies. Well, to a certain.
I was looking at Justin.
I knew what he was doing. I knew what he was doing.
All right.
My mission.
If Tony Volk comes up, man, I told you what I'll do. I'll change my stripes.
Good,
my mission
good.
by the end of the year is to get Just converted. So we find a way somehow to get him converted. So yeah. But no, thanks everyone tuning in, and appreciate Jack. Thanks again, mate, and speak to you again in the future. Thanks everyone.
Sounds
Go
great.
Phils.
Love y'all, man.